In 2016, one of the greatest animated movies of all time was released. That, of course, being Norm of the North, starring Rob Schneider. This movie would change how we look at animation for generations to come. Everyone has seen this movie and loves it, so I don't have to go over the plot, but did you know they made a Twitter account for this movie that somebody apparently forgot to log out of? So they started posting stuff like this, giving us all the updates on Norm that we've been waiting with bated breath for. The reason I'm telling you this is probably the funniest thing to come out of Rob Schneider's entire career. Rob Schneider is the guy that everyone probably recognizes even if they don't know the name. Despite being in a lot of famous movies, nobody's ever said, "Damn, I can't wait to go see that new Rob Schneider movie." I knew him as the guy who got the arrow stuck in his foot during Grown Ups. 12-year-old me thought this was the funniest movie ever created. But he's actually done a lot more than Grown Ups. He got his big break on SNL as the weed in the box guy. This is also where he'd get his iconic catchphrase.
You can do it! You can do it! You can do it! You can do it! Cut his f***ing head off!
These 4 words have basically carried the career of Rob Schneider. After writing and acting on SNL for over 6 years, it was time to break into the film industry. And boy, did he certainly break in. The inappropriate comedy, The Adventures of the Panda Warrior and the Animal, where Rob Schneider turns into a half man, half animal, and has to control his sexual desires around his new girlfriend. These are some of Rob Schneider's greatest solo hits. What's weird about Rob is you probably don't recognize him, but you've almost certainly seen a movie he's been in at some point. I challenge you right now to go to Rob Schneider's IMDb page and find one movie, just one movie, that is not a complete piece of shit. Spoiler alert, there's one. It's Home Alone 2. I understand not every comedy has to be a deep commentary on society, okay? There are smart comedies, there are dumb comedies, and then there's a movie about an aquarium cleaner that has to become a male prostitute in order to repay his debt to another male prostitute. By the way, that's the plot of one of Rob Schneider's most popular movies. So how does this guy keep getting work if he sucks so much? He keeps getting cast in movies that people can't even sit through. Well, it's because of this guy, Adam Sandler. Now, Adam Sandler has been in some really bad movies. I mean, look at the poster for Going Overboard, okay? Look at this poster. This is the actual thing they came up with. Someone said, yeah, that's good, do that. But Adam's proven he can actually make good movies once in a while. For every Punch Drunk Love, Happy Gilmore, Uncut Gems, there's Jack and Jill, Pixels, Zookeeper, The Ridiculous Six, The Do-Over, Bulletproof, The Cobbler, Grown Ups 2, Going Overboard. I still can't get over the poster for this movie, okay? Who looked at this and said, yeah, that looks great, Adam. We're gonna go with that. Despite all of this, if you're friends with Adam Sandler, you basically get a free pass to star in the worst movies ever made. That's Rob Schneider's career summed up. Adam Sandler asked him to be in a movie, and now he's able to star in C-list comedies forever. But when he's not in Sandler movies, it's somehow even worse. Have you ever seen You May Not Kiss the Bride or The Hot Chick, directed by Tom Brady? I lied to you at the beginning. Norm of the North is considered one of the worst movies of all time, animated or not. And it got 3 sequels. We could have had Up 2. We could have had WALL-E 2. We could have had Ratatouille 2. But no, we got 3 Norm of the North movies. Now, it may be next to impossible to find a good movie that Rob the actor stars in, but what about Rob the writer? I mean, the guy wrote for SNL. How bad can he be? Let me tell you guys about the real Rob. I watched the first season of this show, and let me tell you, it is something. Basically, Rob Schneider saw Curb Your Enthusiasm and Louie and said, yeah, I can make that. So he made a show about his life and all the hijinks he gets up to being a C or D list actor, I guess. It's pitched as this is the real Rob Schneider. He's able to write this show with no edits, no advertisements, no nothing. He can do what he wants and he isn't constrained to any guidelines. Now, critics really hate this show, but critics are stupid, okay? Let's give the show a chance and see what Rob has to offer.
Hey, buddy.
Now, literally, the first shot of this show, you will notice 2 things. Firstly, the music. This is clearly just a knockoff of Curb Your Enthusiasm music. And secondly, the show looks like a commercial. And that's because somebody decided to take the saturation slider and go, all the colors are way too bright. It looks like a commercial for like a cleaning product.
Thanks, pal. This is for you.
$5, that's it?
Coffee's only $4. What kind of tip do you expect?
But you're loaded. You can afford like $100.
Yeah, I could afford like $1,000, but you're not gonna get that either.
You're just a cheap bastard.
How am I a cheap bastard? I tipped 100%. Actually, I tipped 125%.
The classic move of the barista getting mad at you for leaving a $5 tip on a $4 coffee. But don't worry, it gets better. Can you guys at home relate to this? Let me know if you can relate to this scene.
Here's my economics. I'm gonna go out to my $150,000 car, drive back to my $2 million house, and hang out with my hot 29-year-old wife.
I think it's pointing out the obvious to say that this show is copying Curb Your Enthusiasm and Louie, but what makes shows like Curb and Louie so good is the fact that even though these guys are multi-millionaires, they're still somehow likable and relatable, even if they're complete assholes. So when they go about their day-to-day lives, you get it. These everyday situations are funny. Even if the main characters are dicks, at least you kind of get why they're like that and you laugh at it. Rob Schneider got the asshole part, but he forgot everything else. This show is about how rich, how famous, and how cool he is. It's like a love letter to himself by himself. Like, who is this show even for, apart from Rob? I think my favorite thing is the fact that in the show, Rob clearly exaggerates how famous he really is. He is getting recognized constantly in this show. There is no way that this happens to him in real life.
Hey, is that Rob Schneider?
Yeah.
You know what this show is missing? I think there needs to be a scene where Rob Schneider hits a guy with his car and gets away with it because he's so famous.
Oh, God. Oh, this is gonna be expensive. Fuck. Oh, God.
Mr. Snyder, you okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just hit a guy.
Hitting a pedestrian can be very stressful, sir. You could be in shock. You want to sit down, or?
Man, listen, I love your movies. Deuce Bigelow, Big Stand, you can do it! That's great.
Thanks, man.
Hey, I love your movies too, sir.
Mind if we take a selfie?
Sure.
I want to put this in perspective. This is the plot in this show. This man gets hit by a car and the guy who hit him just got away with it because he is a C-list celebrity. It's really insane. You think if you got hit by a car, the first thing you do is try and seek damages, right? But I get it. You know, there's so many challenges working with a law firm, right? There's so much paperwork. It's so time consuming. You got to schedule appointments and there's all these associated costs you don't even think about. Honestly, if Rob Schneider hit me with his car, I probably wouldn't even seek damages because it's such a pain to deal with law firms and trying to get the money that you're owed. Unless you go to a firm like Morgan & Morgan. What people don't realize is when you're hurt, that could be worth millions. And places like Morgan & Morgan, they don't settle for lowball offers. It's not your grandma's law firm, okay? Maybe it is. And if it is, good for her. And the fee is free unless you win. It only takes a couple minutes. You just gotta fill out this form on their website. There's no pain in the ass paperwork going back and forth. It's super simple. And the reason why you've probably heard of Morgan & Morgan is because they win a lot. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/ghostgum, which will be found in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now from your phone's camera. I don't know how to explain it. Rob comes across as so unlikable and so annoying in his own show that it's almost like he is the villain of this show. He is the main antagonist of a show named after himself and about his own life. You, the viewer, just want to see him fail. Usually with characters like him in media, they always get what's coming to them. That's where the humor comes from him. But with Rob, it's none of that. There's no humor. He's rude and annoying to the people around him who don't really deserve it, and it comes across as more uncomfortable than it is funny.
Holy shit, man. What are you doing here?
Doing my laundry.
Yeah, but you're Rob Schneider. You don't have your own washer and dryer?
Of course I do. But that's for my family stuff. This is my dog's laundry. There's dog piss and shit and vomit all over this stuff. I don't want all those germs fucking up my machines at my house. Those machines are for people. Besides, I got a kid to think about. Okay, it's all yours, buddy.
But at least there are no big names involved with this show. It's not like Rob got one of the greatest comedians of all time to be in his show and not be funny.
Hey, Norm. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
I thought we were supposed to meet at Starbucks.
Oh, hey, listen, Rob. I just want to thank you for agreeing to meet with me. It sure means the world to me.
Okay, enough of Rob the writer. Okay, I'm sick of Rob the writer. Okay, let's move on to Rob the activist, because this man can't act, he can't write. Maybe he's a good political speaker. I doubt it, but let's have a look. Now, Rob has made headlines for a few years regarding his political opinions. Before it was cool, might I add. His most famous stunt was claiming vaccines cause autism back in 2012, but he's leaned into that a bit more, especially because there's not gonna be a Grown Ups 3 anytime soon.
America's got some imperfections, Larry. We got like some problems with inequity, we have problems with poverty, we got problems with race.
Listen, there's one guy's opinion I trust on politics. A lot of fake news out there these days. I go to Rob Schneider, the guy from Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, okay? That's who I trust. By the way, I'd just like to point out the makeup on Rob Schneider here. You can see, oh God.
If you get shot, hit by a car, run over, or broken leg or heart attack, you better hope it's in America. But for everything else, they don't know how to cure anything.
Really, anything. They can cure some stuff. I'm not saying Big Pharma is good. Okay, I'm the biggest hater of Big Pharma. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who says Big Pharma is good, but regardless of where you stand on this, it's like, why is Rob Schneider the one fighting this battle out of everyone? Why is it this guy? But weirdly enough, he's taken a hard turn away from comedy and leaned into more activism lately. Probably because his comedy isn't exactly well received or respected or even listened to. Even going on Glenn Beck's podcast to talk about politics.
And so you have the makings here in our country of another genocide. Everything's there except for the mass murder.
Now, the whole angle of this podcast is Rob rejected Hollywood to stand up for his country. That's why he doesn't do movies anymore.
I don't care about my career anymore. I care about my children's, the country that they're gonna live in.
Now, forgive me if I think studios aren't exactly lining up to cast Rob Schneider based on his previous work. It's as if Rob has been rejected from making movies anymore, so he's trying to become a conservative speaker to squeeze any relevance from his dead career. Which, don't get me wrong, can work as a career path, but when he got asked to perform stand-up in front of a bunch of Republican politicians, he ended up bombing and offending them so badly that he'll likely never be back. It was supposed to be an hour and a half of stand-up, but it was so bad that people started walking out and the host stopped the show after 10 minutes. This man failed at grifting. So where does he go now? It's hard to see him doing any more big movies because people think of him as a joke. I mean, South Park did a whole sketch about Rob Schneider where that was literally the premise.
Rob Schneider was an animal. Then he was a woman. And now Rob Schneider is a stapler. And he's about to find out that being a stapler is harder than it looks.
To this day, you can go on any YouTube video talking about Rob Schneider and you'll find comments calling him a stapler in reference to the South Park episode. Now, this is a bit of theorizing on my part, but I think this episode really bothered Rob, which is weird because Rob isn't even really the main focus of this episode. This guy on Reddit got a stapler signed by Rob Schneider and he allegedly called him a dick, although this is a Reddit story, so let's take it with a grain of salt. I think this is the reason why he tried to show that he's not a joke with stuff like The Real Rob and trying to be a conservative speaker. He wants to be taken seriously. The problem is, it's like, dude, you're Rob Schneider. That may sound cruel, it may sound mean, but I don't know anyone lining up to get Rob Schneider's serious take or serious opinion on things, which only just made people think of him as more of a jerk. He seems to have come around on the whole South Park thing and admit he found it funny.
It was the guys from South Park did an episode, which was very funny. And I have to say, my friend from The Simpsons, Matt Selman, said they could have been way meaner. But they were like, I was like with the third movie that I'd done. Rob Schneider is an animal. Rob Schneider is a male prostitute. Rob Schneider is a girl, whatever the fuck. So they said, Rob Schneider is a stapler.
But what is next for this guy? He so desperately wants to be taken seriously, yet nobody does. I think the move for Rob Schneider to bring back his career is to fully lean in to the goofy, stupid side of his character. That's why people watched his movies in the first place. And I mean, it's either that or keep starring in knockoff Pixar movies. So take your pick and stay away from politics. Nothing good comes from that.
I remember my career several times being in the toilet because I had some movies that did, that did okay, that didn't do great. So you have to come up with something else. And I remember like Adam was writing his own movies. He said, just write your own movie. Just write one. And I said, well, about what? He said, figure it out. And I remember, all right, well, I'll figure it out, I swear to God, like most of my ideas are not well thought out.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is the new format of the video. If you like it, why not subscribe? Tell me you like it. If you hate it, tell me in the comments too that you hate it. If you want to become a member of this channel, that really helps the channel out. I've set that up now so you can be a member. If you don't want to be a member, just hit subscribe. Just watch another video. That's amazing too. I really appreciate it. Take it easy, guys.